feel like Kobe in the fourth quarter.
This is the Dane Moore NBA podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks, coming at you Thursday afternoon. It's July 17th. I'm back from Las Vegas and in studio here back in Minneapolis with Britt Robson. And with Britt, we're just going to do some Summer League Wolves takeaways. So Kyle and I, we did like immediate reaction pods after games 1 and game 2. So I haven't talked at all about game 3 where Terrence Shannon Jr. Was really good against Detroit, or game 4 where Terrence Shannon Jr. didn't play, but Rob Dillingham was really good against Phoenix. So I thought we kind of work in reverse order of the games. Or
okay, sure.
Maybe that's mostly my way of wanting to start with Rob Dillingham, because I thought that was a different Dillingham experience, in part because Shannon was out for that game, but also because it really seemed like Dillingham sort of caught his rhythm, particularly in the second half. 23.7 rebounds, 7 assists in that most recent game against Phoenix. Again, no Shannon, but pretty clearly Dillingham's best game. I'm watching these games and I'm with all the players, but particularly Dillingham, trying to think about what is happening that is changing the way I think about him for next season, if at all. And I think if there were a time to move your needle, it would be off of that last game where he looked really good. Where are you just sort of at on that?
Well, I think what's interesting to me is why he looked really good. He was freed from the idea that you need to get everybody involved. When they were down and it was crunch time, he realized, whether or not the coaches totally endorsed this, I don't know, but getting his was as much of a priority as getting other people off. Mm-hmm. And he was much better then. I don't think he's very good yet at editing himself down and yet still being able to flourish in the things he does best. And I think that was reinforced. That may be a unkind way of, explaining his good play. But I do think it was very clear. I mean, Ryan Dunn was on him for most of that fourth quarter, who is an ace NBA defender. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no stinting on Ryan Dunn. He went out with an injury earlier, but seemed fine. Right. I mean, I don't think he was hurt. And he's big. He's large.
It's like a Jaden. It's like the Jaden type guarding a point guard.
Exactly. And Dillingham's first step still beat him at least twice. Mm-hmm. And Dillingham also had a little bit of his shot altered on a tray that went in anyway. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of really encouraging things about being able to score through adversity that I thought were a level we hadn't seen yet. He did come to the fore late in games, or when, like, I think it was, I can't remember which one of the previous 3 games was, but when they were down early, and then he realized he needed to get some buckets rather than get some dimes.
It's like he's turning on different switches at different times. And I think some of that is imposed by the coaching staff a little bit too.
I think definitely, especially in Summer League, mm-hmm. I think that you also have to show you're a team player, and it is really exceptionally hard because you're also having to show why you stand out. Yeah. Why you stand out and why you blend in at the same time is a really tough act. Dillingham has the advantage of knowing, his growth is a priority in the Summer League. And I do think that he had an advantage of having guys like Clark and TJ who have been there and are obviously got pretty good rotation minutes last year. But still, I do think he was itching to do this. I think that I was especially impressed with his relationship with Beringer immediately. In all 4 games, he found him, I think, for lobs or was there for that. But I do think that the blend of being a point guard and being a scorer remains fairly bifurcated. And if you're playing next to Ant, that's not a penalty, because you do need to be kind of bifurcated because Ant's bifurcated. But when it comes to leading a second unit, I think it has to be you can't lean into your own stuff too much if there are other guys on the floor who could score.
Yeah, that was the number one thing that stood out to me for the fourth game. His best game was he didn't seem to be isolated into playing that point guard role and instead was used as more of a combo guard scorer. And it really happened in the second half of the game.
Absolutely.
First half of the game against Phoenix, Ryan Dunn, a really good perimeter defender, is guarding him. Phoenix is just like pressuring the hell out of the Wolves, whoever was bringing it or whoever had it on the perimeter, and they're turning it over. And they're like, oh, can the Summer League team do anything without Terrence Shannon Jr.? Right. I'm not sure. And then what happened in the second half is they started Tristan Newton instead of Amari Bailey. Amari Bailey started in Terrence Shannon Jr.'s stead to start that game because Shannon wasn't playing in that game. But then you bring Newton into the game in the second half. And when that happens, Newton was functioning as like your traditional point guard.
Right.
You know, I don't know a ton about his game. He was on a two-way with the Wolves last year. He never played, but watching him in Summer League, it's pretty clear. Like he's just like a Mike Conley, get you into it type point guard. So he comes out there in the second half, and Rob's not playing more off ball and more of that combo guard type of role. Newton sort of absorbed the ball pressure, it wasn't bringing it every time. Dillingham's bringing it some, but.
And it still wasn't, it was the little kid from UCLA, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ryan Dunn.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons.
True.
I think.
Right.
And I think that may have been also when Dunn went out in the third quarter. I can't remember exactly when it was. But I do think that there are two good reasons for not having Dillingham on the ball. And one was he could play off ball if Ryan Dunn was on him, which is a better matchup. And secondly, that you do have, you're not going to pressure the ball as hard because you don't have your best defender on the ball at that particular time.
I asked Rob Dillingham about his defense after that first game against the Pelicans, and I was asking about defense, but he kind of spun it to offense. He's like, yeah, I'd never been really asked to guard like this, previously in my career.
Right.
It's tiring to both guard like this and bring the ball up and initiate the offense all the time.
Big thumbs up from Ant there.
Yeah. True. So I had that kind of like logged in my mind, and then I'm seeing Newton bring the ball up in the second half, or just the Wolves offense flipping a switch and magically starting to work in the second half. It's probably some coaching stuff that happened at halftime too. But it just really, I have put Dillingham into this, he needs to be a point guard type of association because he's 6'1", you know? And talking to some people at Summer League and stuff like that, it's like, well, what position is he? And I was just like, I don't know, he's a 1. Like, what? The next Mike Conley's heir apparent, whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure that's what he is. And then that game happens. He kind of plays more of the 2. He has his best game. He doesn't look as tired, or he's switching off some possessions doing it. And I was like, okay, that probably is the blueprint for him. Doesn't mean he's not a point guard, but I think we're going to get our best Rob Dillingham out there when there is one of those sidecars to sort of go with him. And there's a lot of sidecars on this team.
Right, exactly. And what I remember Finch saying and Connolly saying, they often refer to him as what he can do beside Ant. And so whether that means Ant stays around, he's the starter that stays with the bench, or whether or not that means that Dillingham is the early Conley sub and plays the second half of the first quarter or something. There's going to be a lot of minutes where he's in the backcourt with Ant. And you cannot be a pure point guard, especially if Randall is also on the floor. It's very, very difficult, as Mike Conley discovered, to play on the floor with Julius Randle and be a ball, guy. And so in that respect, the fit, his natural fit, which I do believe is a combo guard's fit. I do think I saw him very consciously doing this, pass kind of thing around the horn. And it was dutiful. There wasn't as much joy in his game by any means. He obviously is meant to be in transition. He loves it when he knows, he's going to be like the Kobe of that particular game or whatever, which certainly was shown in the second half last night, Wednesday night. So what impressed me, or what reassured me maybe, was he still has that.
Yeah.
And that he got beaten down a little bit last year. He still has a lot of confidence in himself. And also, I thought it was telling. I mean, when they needed to win that game, he sat the last 2 minutes because of his defense.
Oh, it was like the last 30 seconds.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, but there was an offensive possession. That's
Yeah.
probably what it was. They brought in Jamal Kano, actually got the stop, contest the shot.
And it was a good idea.
Yeah. Which it's going to be a good idea. Like, he probably not going to close games.
It's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard. He remains hard to have a guy that small, and he's game sometimes.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not slighting his desire to play defense. His ability to play defense is going to remain an open question, especially when we saw him occasionally get abused in summer league, although not as badly. I thought his, bottom line, this year's summer league showed his growth compared to last year's summer league. He clearly is a much better player than he was a year ago.
Yeah, I think the common things levied against him are the size, right? Defensively, we do that all the time. That's natural and normal. But another one that started, I think, coming up is he's not able to get separation like he did at the college level, or that he would need to in the pros. And I think when he is in that more like point guard, like you say, look at East-West more role, then and then he gets stuck in a position where, okay, I got to create. Yeah, he's not burning Ryan Dunn right there.
Right.
But what I liked about the second half is they started setting those screens high for him. And when he can run into the action himself, get his feet going and his speed, which is elite, going, then the separation is created. Right. Because he's got that head of steam. The screen comes, the defender has to react, and he's past you there. Right. And he's in the middle of the floor. Like that to me, if he has that head of steam and he gets that high screen from Rudy or whoever, that's going to translate. But what do you do with it? Even once you've created that separation, now here I am in the mid-range sort of area. I had written down he's 20 of 48 from 2-point range in these 4 games, and really sort of struggling to finish when he gets to the not in the last game, really good. Right. But just to, highlighting those sort of things where he got in there and it's funky. He's not effectively doing it. A couple of floaters, and I think that's what it's going to need to be, instead of these like reverse backwards, going against the lane that are getting blocked or just are hard to finish. The separation leads to the creation for himself or for others. He can get that. He can get that separation, I think, with a head of steam. But what can he do once he has that separation?
I think he can also get that separation if it doesn't even need to be a screen. It needs to be a roll threat. Somebody by him. If he's in the slot, like there were the one play I was thinking about where he beat Dunn off the bounce with a first step in the fourth quarter. Okay. Beringer or it may have been the other guy, 14 coming down, Edwards. But one of them was kind of feigning a roll, and you could tell it was a slight distraction. And that's all he needs. If there is a roll threat on the floor in the proximity of where he is, and that's why, who knows if, he'll play a lot with Rudy. But Rudy is a roll threat. He does have timing on the roll. If one thing Rudy can do on offense is knows how to set a pick and exactly when to roll. And if Dillingham can figure that out.
And I think he can, man. Like, I think he's a really good passer.
And I think that what I'm saying is I think he can abandon the pick, drive, and then when the roll happens, he can be quick enough that somebody is in no man's land. Am I backing up to defend the lob, or am I taking him on? I think he's fast enough to read that. And I guess what I'm saying is I think that pick and roll plays are good, but it doesn't have to be an actual screen for him to get off, I think.
No, I take your point there. I think it all ultimately for him, whether it's to the roll man, it's all that stuff going down the center of the floor. Like, can he do it? Can his screener do it? And can you do it repeatedly?
Right.
And I really do think like the passing, I just feel getting the chance to watch him more and stuff like that. Like there is a high level of passing talent.
Yes.
In his game there. And there's obviously a high level of handle talent.
Except in traffic.
That's where I was going. And then it's the turnovers because it's like, do I firmly have the handle? I'm trying to make the read, judging the big here. Is the low man coming over? Am I kicking?
Right.
It's all still sort of processing while he's got this full head of steam and there's some traffic here. He makes good plays out of that, but he makes turnovers out of it too, which is probably normal for I don't know, for a 20-year-old, but the turnovers came too.
The dribble off the hezzy is not as strong as the straight line dribble.
Yep.
And I think he does a remarkably good job of retaining the dribble, but it gets disrupted a lot. At least it got disrupted a lot the last 4 games. But what we also have to remember is the guy is deadly in transition.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, what do the Timberwolves need? They need a guy who, it's not Mike Conley. It's not Anthony Edwards. Both of those guys, when they're on the court together, transition sucks for the Wolves. It does.
No, that's true.
And so I think, if he's out there with Dante and that's the backcourt, that's a totally different mindset in terms of when you want to go. Exactly. And that's what they're, they don't come out and say it all the time. Finch has occasionally expressed frustration that they don't get out in transition. And a lot of that, 90% of that is Ant because he's the one that everybody looks to get the ball to in a quote unquote transition situation and then doesn't do it. Right. But I think that the example of guys getting out there and doing it and having that be more of the team's overall identity. And that's one of the few places. I mean, I am not super high on Dillingham being a real help to this team next year. I think he can provide some necessary ballast. But if I'm thinking of how is he really going to help? I think he's really going to help in terms of pace and opportunism.
Yeah, because sometimes with like pace, it's to use like a football analogy, is it the quarterback throwing it deep or is it the receiver running deep that takes the top off the defense, And they need both. Like the Wolves need both of those things. They need players like Rudy isn't a rebounder, hit a head pass up 15 feet. That's not in his skill set. Julius Randle can grab it and go. He rarely does it. Anthony Edwards can grab and go. He rarely does it. Mike Conley can throw that hit a head pass, but who's going to start running ahead of him that he's passing to? Jaden McDaniels started doing some of that, I think, in the second half of the season, but it does just need to get more baked into their ethos of like all of these guys need to be doing it. And young blood, that's a great way to do it. Like focus on these 3 things, Rob and TJ, and defensively to offensively, make that one of them. You're turning it. And it's a way to get cheap, easy points, as we learned with Jaden, as Finch always talks about with Ant, of like, you don't want to get double teamed. Let's run. Let's go. Like these, it's really like the thing. I think this summer league group who's going to be at the back, a lot of these guys are going to be involved in the back end of the rotation. Like that's the one thing they can just sort of do by choosing to do it. And Dillingham, I think, can be both the quarterback and the wide receiver in that weird analogy. Let's talk about TJ a little bit.
Okay.
Because all these things. Well, let me wrap up with Dillingham on just some stats.
All right.
6.5 assists per game, 4.3 turnovers per game. That's 10th in turnovers per game in summer league. 6th in assists per game. 1.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. You'd like that to be better, but you kind of look at some of the other.
Well, and summer league is turnover city.
Turnover city, yeah. So I don't want to get too married,
but
to
4 is still too many.
Yes, and it's something we had our eye on with him. The other thing I had written down is I said I think they're intentionally changing the way Dillingham played every game. I know they were. Kevin Hansen said that the first game they used him heavy in pick and roll usage as the primary initiator. That second game was more traditional play. That's where we saw just they asked him to just get him into the action. And then the third game is when Terrence Shannon Jr. was on ball more, and Rob was kind of the combo guard. He just didn't get as much usage because TJ was sort of dominant. And then game 4, I couldn't really feel it out at the beginning because he was guarded by Dunn. The Wolves offense looked like trash. They're turning it over all the time. And then it was sort of the same thing in the second half as it was game 3, where Tristan Newton's out there, another point guard's out there with him, and Rob's kind of, again, playing as the combo guard. So that clarified, as we just talked about, my sort of idea or need or belief for him that he is going to sort of need that sidecar with him. And Terrence, to talk about him, could be one of those sidecars for him, which is a little bit of a surprise to me about Terrence Shannon Jr.'s game. He looks more comfortable with the ball in his hands, creating for himself, and he looks like a better shooter than he was before.
Well, especially from outside.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the knock was great nose for the rim, straight ahead drive guy, fantastic in transition coast to coast. Not so much pull up, not so much flash to the corner, all the things that you want your wing 3-level scorer to be able to do. And his progress and all that was remarkable.
Yeah.
But I keep coming back to the fact he's 24, 25 years old. And I think if you're 24, 25 years old in Vegas right now, you better be better than people. And so there's a little bit of grain of salt in there. He physically was just more supple and able to do things in a fluidity that was strong at the same time. And that's just physical maturity. And also his game was for 4 years, all 4 years in college, he played that way too. He played, I will beat you up. If you try to guard me, I welcome pressure defense, That said, the 3-point shot and the passing were not part of his game that I saw. And I think the team is quietly very excited about him now. I think that
less quiet now.
I think he's going to be like right in the mix. I think of the 3 guys that we talk about, Dillingham, Shannon, and Clark, he's moved to the guy.
Yeah. Today's show is brought to you by Falling Knife Brewing Company. And if the Wolves do make the Summer League playoffs, those games will be on the projection screens and playing through the speakers at Falling Knife this weekend. Might be a fun way to spend a Saturday afternoon. A patio, a verbal tip, hazy IPA, some Leonard Miller on the screen. All summer, they've been playing the Wolves Summer League games there, the Lynx games. But we also want to remind you that they have trivia going on all summer. Tonight and all Thursdays throughout the summer, Falling Knife hosts the Initials game from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m., which you might be familiar with from KFan. And then on Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m., it's a different themed trivia each week. I think last week it was baseball. This week it's dinosaurs trivia, 5 to 7 p.m. at Falling Knife. They are doing that on Sunday. We know many of you frequented Falling Knife during the playoffs, but keep them on your radar this summer as well. Always something going on there. That's Falling Knife Brewing Company in Northeast Minneapolis. Today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks, and they do have Prize Picks up for the NBA Summer League. 2 I like from tonight's game. It's the Spurs-Hornets game as we watch it later tonight. Give me David Jones-Garcia from the Spurs to score more than 20.5 points in that game. And also give me Liam McNeely to score more than 13.5 points. How Prize Picks works, it's put together a lineup at Prize Picks by putting 2 or more picks in your lineup to win. If you do not yet have Prize Picks, all you need to do is put in the promo code Dane when you sign up, and you will receive $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Always be clicking on that promotions tab. They got Flex Fridays. On Fridays, do a $35 protected play. Lots to do at Prize Picks all summer, even with the NBA off. That's prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks app. Use promo code Dane when you create your account. It's at least look like it if we're basing it off of what we've seen and what the production has been. It's obvious. I mean, he looks substantially more talented and effective in the summer league context than Rob Dillingham and Jaylen Clark, right?
Yeah.
The other two guys who are kind of in that mix for the back end of the rotation. I can't swear what to do with the age thing.
Right.
And I'm kind of ready to just let go of it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to let go of it because he's going to be playing with peers.
Mm-hmm.
And he has shown he can pretty much do it. But I do want to see the shot and the passing against people who are physically his peers.
Mm-hmm. Because when he played physically against his peers last season, it was just run, sprint, transition.
There was a lot of bowling over.
Yeah.
Getting a charge or getting a blocking foul on a bang-bang play. Mm-hmm. And now, if he does pull up or if he does look for people as he's on the bounce, does the fact that, I mean, everybody's trying really hard to play defense in summer league. I don't doubt the effort.
Right.
But the judgment and the continuity, the adhesiveness of a defense is much lacking compared to the NBA. And so what I want to see once we get into preseason, and then obviously, especially during the games, is whether he can translate some of these very necessary skills that will enable him to be not just one-trick pony, one style kind of guy. And if that can happen, and also, I mean, I didn't even talk about his defense. I thought his defense was very good too. And he's got the perfect size to be a fairly flexible defender, which, again, is another thing. This team's ability to go small and quick and yet be retaining its defensive intensity will rely on guys like Shannon being able to do that, and Dante and Jayden at the 4 and so on.
Yeah, I keep asking myself, if I saw this from Terrence Shannon Jr., even everything we saw from him last year, his rookie season, the sporadic times when he played, even breaking through into the rotation in the postseason, dominant in the G League, first round pick, the year before, dominant in college. And then he came out and did this at Summer League and was 20 years old. What are we talking about right here?
Right.
We're talking about a potential star player.
Right.
But that's also, like, I want to believe that because I feel like that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
I really do. And it pops in the Summer League.
Right.
Context.
Did you hear the commentary in the Detroit game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah Thomas thinks he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
I mean, again, take that with, people in New York are chortling as I say that because he kind of ruined the Knicks. But I don't think he's dumb. Mm-hmm. And I do think what he was saying was tracking with what everybody was seeing in that Detroit game. And if anybody, I'll put it this way, if the Wolves, for some reason, were to offer up Shannon and a deal right now, there'd be a lot of phone calls. Mm-hmm. He's got the potential to be a impactful rotation player.
Right.
And star is a pretty loaded word in today's NBA, but the Wolves don't necessarily need stars. They need a lengthening of support on their current young stars. And
so
I think he can do that.
Yeah. So we pull down like if he was 20 and he was doing this, we'd be like, sky's the limit, whatever. Right. So we could pull that down a little bit, and we should pull that down a little bit if we're trying to do expected value for him because yes, he's averaging 22.7 points per game in Summer League and shooting it really well, racking up stuff everywhere else. But I'm looking at the points leaderboard in Summer League, and Drew Timme is averaging 2.5 more points per game than him and is the same age.
Right.
And so it's like, I know some people are sick of hearing us have to bring up Shannon's age in the shadow of every time we're complimenting
less when he's playing against his peers. He's just not playing against it. It's kind of like, would people be sick of it if you were talking about, they're not sick of it when you flip it. You say, Berenger's 18. Sure. Look at him out there,
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying, you don't say, well, age doesn't matter.
Right. It does remind me a lot of Nas.
Mm-hmm.
Where early on you were just like, there's a special talent here. There's a special physicality. Right. there's something abnormal in the skill set that pops at the size.
Yep.
And I feel the same way about Terrence Shannon Jr. And I remember I thought that about Nas when he was 20. So it's the same thing all over again. But I don't know. It's still enough for me to believe going into the season, echoing what you said, he's the top guy to take the Nickeil minutes. And I went into it. We've talked about last time you were on here, Nickeil's gone. Okay, they're going to need to piecemeal it together with Rob and Terrence and Jaylen. And now I think Terrence should clearly be prioritized.
Well, especially given Clark's performance.
Sure.
I mean, it's been disappointing.
It has.
I like him so much that I want to make excuses for him. And one of the excuses I will make for him is I do think he's one of those players that is comfortable being a fifth guy on the court.
Sure.
I don't, when he's trying to be the third or second guy on the court, I think he gets over his skis. His shot selection was bewildering. What did Finch love about him? What did anybody who really likes basketball love about him? There was not a lot of waste in his game at all.
Right.
And there's been a lot of waste, in Vegas this last week. And it's just even his defense wasn't as perceptive as I think we've gotten used to him on. And I think he's just, I don't know whether it's he hasn't locked into that rhythm he found, in the middle of the season, or whether he's trying a little bit too hard. He understands that the stakes are there for more opportunity.
I think it's just the threes, man. I mean, that's reductive, but I think we think about Jaylen Clark's performance even this past season a little bit differently if he shot 30.4% from three rather than 40.4% from three.
Yeah, 43 actually.
43, whatever it was.
Yeah,
30.4 is what he's shooting in summer.
I know, yeah. And it's very obvious because they're mostly open shots, as you usually are with him.
A couple little combo, sidestep, a little those Nickeil, pump, reset. He's gotten better as a shooter. He can do Summer League a year ago. Really low
Summer League. Well, Summer League, I really, when I saw him play in the regular season after Summer League, and even in preseason, the little we saw of him, I began to think he still wasn't fully healthy or wasn't fully in shape or whatever. Now it does look like he's in shape. I just think he had a bad week, and I prefer to think of it as he remains somebody that you bring into the game, not to be the calmer down of a team, but to be the lieutenant calmer down. The guy who is, alongside the point guard or somebody who's trying to establish something, and how to bring the ball out if nothing's inside. How to make the quick pass if nothing's in front of you. He can be that kind of person. And I think he was trying to be a little bit more than that in Summer League. That's my excuse for it anyway. And I think
they weren't asking him to do different things, though.
Huh?
They weren't asking him to be anything more than a 3-and-D.
But I think he wanted to be a little bit more.
That's fair. Or he wanted to make 6 threes, or wanted to have 6 steals.
And again, there were times when he turned down those threes in the NBA,
sure,
because he didn't feel it or whatever. And maybe that's the difference between 30 and 43%. I don't know.
Right.
But I do think that we just got through talking about Terrence Shannon Jr., and you go to start talking about Jaylen Clark, and they both are relatively mature players in terms of their age, and they are already semi-proven contributors. But the questions about Clark are reignited, and the questions about Shannon have more to do with, do the third and fourth things he does really well, will that continue once he's with people who are his own physicality peers?
And I don't see why not. Because I
don't either. Right. And that's what I'm saying is I do see why not with Clark.
Sure.
And that's it. And I actually frankly. I mean, as much as I like Dillingham's game against Phoenix, I do see why not with Dillingham still, because if he's not out there with the right personnel, he's going to struggle. And, somebody would have, okay, he's 21 years old and he's undersized. Of course he's going to struggle. And that's all legit. But we are talking about,
well, we're talking about
heir
rotation
apparent
minutes.
to Mike Conley and being in the
3
mix.
months.
He's got the 8th pick of the draft a year ago. So, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to give him rope. And there's all kinds of reasons to expect when you give him the rope, he doesn't hang himself.
right. Might need to. I just to giving Shannon rope. I can't think of any basketball reason, to not give him rope.
Right. He might get in foul trouble because I think his defense. They let the officiating. Yeah. Sometimes was horrible. I mean, the calls were like the game of bingo or something. But I like the fact that if I had a problem with his defense, it was that the effort sometimes, the fundamentals weren't always great, but he compensated with effort. So
yeah, I guess I thought even I like defensive
fundamentals are generally good, but he could. I mean,
I don't think we have basketball reasons to pick on him. I really don't.
Yeah, you're probably right. I could be searching.
Well, I think we are searching because we're looking for a basketball reason to tape to the 25-year-old age. Be like, he's 25 and did. Like Drew Timme, we could go, he's 25 and he's slow as shit. We know Drew Timme.
And then,
no shade. He's getting buckets in Summer League, but there's like a specific attribute we can point to.
Right.
The things I have and you have pointed to with Shannon is questions about what the shot looks like.
Right.
The shot looks different and better and is going in more. Cool. And then the other thing would be at times when he played last year, he would lose his head in transition and he would crash into the lane and look like a heavy charge sort of guy. Or he would just meet 7-foot resistance at the rim and be walled up. As even Ant, that happens to Ant all the time. Like, it's bad news if Brook Lopez is out there for Ant driving to the basket. And Terrence found that trap. But I thought I really liked the shot. Like, the shot looks a lot better to me.
Yes.
But he would come into the lane and stop with 2 and have like the ability to spray it from there.
He likes the corners. He likes both to be in the corner and he likes to pass to the corner.
He gets it, man.
And that may be college, I don't know. But I agree with you that his decision-making is up. And there's just a comfort level now. If you remember, didn't he, was he hurt or something? Why didn't he play, or did he not play in Summer League that much last year?
No, he played in Summer League, but then he
didn't make a dent like he did.
He played in like 2 or 3 games, and then he kind of like hurt his foot or his leg or something like that. And they shut him down early, and maybe that's happening now again. He didn't play in the 4th game.
Nah, I think they literally just didn't want.
I don't know, man.
You've done enough, kind of thing. I mean, it really was.
I was talking to some people in the front office though after that 3rd game, and I'm like, is TJ going to keep playing? And they're like, why not? Like let him play.
But those weren't the ones who were making the decisions.
Well, yeah, because then he didn't play the next game. But I don't know. I'm as encouraged by Shannon as I could be. Yeah. I think at this point, throwing in the necessary caution of his age. And I don't know. It's not that he had like some incredible season last year. He wasn't in the rotation the whole end of the season or anything. He played in the postseason some, but that doesn't mean he was in the rotation the whole time.
Has become like a little too legendary for me.
Yeah, for sure. It has. And I think I mean,
they were already, they
were dead. And
it wasn't as if,
he didn't save the day. Right. Okay, so with him, we feel like pretty 8th man lockdown right now as of.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
I mean, and obviously there's a lot of room between now and the opening tip, but on what we've seen from Summer League, he put himself, I think you and I are, and most people who watch the games, it wasn't a coincidence that a lot of the other players, like the 6th to 9th players on the Summer League roster just had a lot more struggle because Shannon wasn't on the court with them to draw. Right. He drew attention from opposing defenses.
Absolutely.
And that was clearly an adjustment that the Wolves had to make in that first half, Wednesday night against Phoenix. Without him out there, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, he's not bending that defense to wherever he's going. And I think that both that movement with that power force behind that movement, you get bigs moving when you start to play like that. And I think having bigs being able to be a little bit more comfortable about where they are and everything while there's ball pressure in front of the bigs was something the Wolves didn't have to worry about when he was on the court before.
So if there's Nickeil averaged 25 minutes per game last year, that's juiced by some games where he played more, started, whatever. So let's say that 8th man role is 20 minutes per game next season. Got all the rest of the same guys. How do you distribute that 20 minutes game one? Or how do you think that those 20 minutes will be distributed?
One advantage I had of staying home in Vegas, from Vegas, is
there's many advantages to that.
Hearing Chris Finch and then Tim Connolly talk in the middle of those first two games. Finch in the first one, Connolly in the second one.
I heard the Conley one. I was at the Finch one, so I didn't hear what Finch said.
Finch basically said when they said, "Hey, you're three guys. You got three guys." And
goes, we knew we were 9 or 10 guys in the rotation. Yeah, right.
Well, but the certainty here, though, was pretty strong, and I do think that
10, no way.
Probably not, but I do think there'll be the 9th man will be toggled.
Sure.
So there'll be 10 players, maybe 9-man rotation, but that 10th man will be a sitter, sure, but that person will be a 9th man against certain matchups. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that 10th guy will be like the Dillingham, Ingles, Minot thing where they played like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that there's a chance that
who's losing the minutes? That's what I'm saying. Like who's stopping?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I do think that you can't not play Dillingham. You have to play Dillingham because with the same logic, let's face it, there were 2 points of contention. It wasn't tension necessarily, but contention, I think, between Finch and Tim Connolly last year. One was Julius Randle and one was Rob Dillingham. And Chris Finch was enabled to be proven right about Julius Randle. Tim Connolly never got the chance to find out how right he was because Rob Dillingham didn't get minutes. But I do think if we're talking about opinions of personnel, the disparities I would put down, and I have no inside knowledge of this, is just what I see. It looks fairly logical to me that Finch was the primary motivator behind the Julius Randle push. I don't see how that could be contestable. And I also think that given the way Tim Connolly talked about Dillingham after the draft and given the way they've continued to prioritize him, that there is a unified front office. There is a front office coaching staff synergy that is one of the best things about this team. And I think that Finch knows one of the reasons he said what he said about 8 or 9 guys or 9 or 10 guys is he's going to play Dillingham. And Dillingham will get a lot of chances to fail before he fails if that happens. And so that's all preface to say that Jaylen Clark, maybe if there's a man out, he would probably be the man out. On the other hand, if the Wolves play stupid, as they do sometimes, and they turn the ball over and they make terrible decisions on shot selection and everything, Finch will reach for him because Finch trusts him to not be stupid on the court. So that's why I say that 9th, 10th man, I think
I think he'll be reached for in place of a Rob or TJ or somebody else is playing poorly. It's just hard, numbers-wise, this is hard for me to figure out how It's like, okay, we need a little bit more control. We're going to play Jaylen Clark for 15 minutes a night in addition to what everybody else was already playing.
Agreed. And precisely for the reason you're talking about. I do think Shannon gets 15 minutes. And I think 15 minutes is a weird number because it's 21 1 minute. If it's 21 1 minute, it's 9 the next. So it is. A lot depends on, obviously, the health of the other 7, Conley's immediate capabilities. He did not hit the ground running last year. He had a chronic injury that he's usually able to overcome during the offseason that he couldn't overcome. So
how it worked, like with those guys in the rotation, extending the minutes, like what Nickeil would check in with 3 minutes left in the first quarter and would play for about 9, halfway through the middle of the second quarter. And then it would kind of be duplicated in the second half. So there's your 18 minutes right there. If he's playing really well, or maybe somebody's hurt or something like that, he could come back in to close the second quarter and close the fourth quarter of the game. Occasionally happened. And that's how you end up getting your games where Nickeil played 26 minutes and da-da-da. Today's show is brought to you by Adriana Lonick at Coldwell Banker Realty. And if it is time to buy or sell your home, please do reach out to Adriana at Coldwell Banker to help you with the process. All you need to do is go to her website, thedancingrealtor.com, or call or text her at 715-304-9920 to book a free strategy session. If you're just beginning to start thinking about buying a home, set up this free consultation and get yourself on the right track. It really is easy to get lost in the home buying process without guidance from your realtor. If you do set up one of those free consultations, we will be doing a drawing from those who have set up free consultations for some free Wolves tickets to a game this fall. I know there's already a chunk of you out there listening that are thinking about purchasing a home. I know some of you have through Adriana. If you're procrastinating it, stop. Go to thedancingrealtor.com for more information. Again, for free, just a free call or text Adriana Lonick at 715-304-9920 to book a strategy session. Like I said, mention this podcast and get entered to win a pair of free Wolves tickets. The longer shift that opens up the door to like 30 minutes was Dante and Nas, and they would come in 6 minutes into the game and they would play like a full 12-minute run. And then so that's how they're getting their 25 again, 20 some as a floor. And then if they go a longer stretch or they close the game, then now here they are. They're up to 30 there. So I think the TJ one would be more in the Nickeil mold and maybe a little bit shorter. Maybe it's just 2 6-minute shifts. Comes in at the end of the first quarter, plays for about 6 minutes there. If he's rolling, maybe play him for 9. And then it's the same thing in the second half. That's 12 to 15 minutes a night. And I think you have that there. And then you can get Rob 2 shifts too with 6 and 6. If we trim a little bit of fat off of maybe Dante's minutes, Conley's minutes, whatever it might look like. I just don't, we're already above the amount by giving Shannon 15 and giving Dillingham 12.
Yes, I agree.
We've already exceeded the amount of minutes that are available to be given.
I think what will be fascinating, I have no idea whether this is accurate, but I think it's necessary. This team needs to learn how to play small and fast to match up with certain teams that play that way. They need to have that in their bag in a practiced, natural way. And I think that that means less minutes for Rudy, and that means less minutes for Conley. And that also makes sense in terms of the long-term timeline.
Sure.
Obviously.
We know what that would look like too, right? We saw Rudy play less in the playoffs, and so you cut that down to like 26. That opens you up some more room there. I don't think you can play Mike any less while starting him. I think they've already shrunk his shifts so much that it's uncomfortable. But we've seen that option too. Dante started the 1.
Right.
And then Mike come off the bench. If you want to get Mike down to playing 16 minutes a night rather than low 20s, off the bench, 8-minute shift first half, 8-minute shift second half. There's your 16. Maybe you close with them. He gets to 19.
That's the thing. I think that Finch, one of the ways Finch would go with that is having a Conley close in his, in his bag in the
instead of
quarter.
Dante. Yeah, I think so too. But that trims some fat. There's ways to trim some minutes by making Rudy not 34 a night.
And quite frankly, there are ways to go small and quick without Randall too. Having both of those bigs, and that gets you maybe your front court, maybe you run, a Dante, Ant, Shannon, Jayden, Nas lineup.
That's how you get more wings in there.
That thing flies. I mean, those 5 guys, that's a high pace.
Right.
And perhaps not terrible defensive.
Sure.
I mean, again, you got to figure out. But again, this is where if Shannon can play defense and you can put Jayden at the 4 and have Shannon not necessarily be the wing stopper, but a guy who guards one of the better wings.
Or maybe Shannon guards the 4.
Yeah, maybe he does. Right. But I'm thinking also, I really like the way
Tari Eason
when Jayden is at the small ball 4, there are times when he can be a 5 and Nas can roll. And I like that. I would like to keep Shannon as a wing defender in that case.
I think the variable you move to get more playing time for Shannon, Dillingham, and Clark, if you deem that's what you want, is more Jayden at the 4.
I agree.
And that opens up more wing minutes, and maybe that, and now you're trimming a little from Randall, Rudy, probably not trimming from Nas because he's already under 30. But I think those are the sliding doors.
And Randall and Rudy and Conley is really what we're talking about.
But Conley, again, I think you shift by having him come off.
I believe they are the 3 oldest players on the roster. They're right up there if they're not.
Don't forget about Jingling Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mascot.
Inbounder. The inbounder.
Yeah, that's right. But Randall's getting paid, Rudy's getting paid, and Conley's on his last year. So some of the debris, the emotional or issue-oriented chemistry, whatever you want to call it, debris that may be out there, won't be out there. The Wolves have said they're leaning into continuity and they're leaning into how they're going to get better is by doing the things they learned about last year better and then building off that better to do things broader.
Right.
And one of the ways you do that is by adding pieces that are acceptable to the team and becoming more versatile. I really enjoyed the versatility of the team last year. I think it can be more versatile. And I think that the team 2 years ago that went to the Western Conference Finals was really, really good at fairly narrow things. And last year, the team was less fantastic at one thing and a little bit broader based. I think that trend will continue if the team is to hope to be the best it can be for the next 3 years, the next 4 years.
Right.
The way you do that is by continuing to evolve in certain ways.
Yeah, and it's just a tricky thing
It
to
is a
do.
tricky thing.
And Finch, frankly,
But that's
didn't
clearly
really,
their path.
Yeah, but Finch played the 8 guys last year.
Right.
And didn't
Which
do
is
what
why
you're-
he seemed so sincere when he said what he said.
Yeah,
And why, in some ways,
I
it
get-
kind of has to be.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're going to play Dillingham and really give him a shot, and grow him, let's face it, and you're going to get the best out of Jaden McDaniels. You're going to get the best out of Naz Reid. I think you can get the best out of Rudy with less.
Sure.
And you can get the best out of Conley with less. I mean, again, your caveat that if they use him in the limited way they used him last year.
No, I'm glad we talked to that. That is it. And because I'm looking at the minutes distribution, like what? Okay, Nikhil, like
Right.
there's just not
Right.
enough to play Shannon, Clark, and
Right.
Dillingham.
So can Rudy's pride handle it? I think it can if it's shown. I mean, Rudy has been to 2 conference finals in a row now, and he sucked it up when France basically benched him for the gold medal game. I mean, he's not. It's not.
Not something he hasn't done before.
A shot out of the.
It happened in playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't it like 26 minutes a game he played in the playoffs? Like
Right.
it could end up looking more like that. And I think there's some different ways to change Rudy's rotation to play him with Mike, even if Mike comes off the bench.
I agree
that it was
and
so
I would kind of
stitched
like
together.
that too.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that it would be. There are ways to keep continuity and still make some cool tweaks.
Right. And I think, well, there's clearly going to need to be tweaks if they're going to play 9 or 10. And so we'll see what they are, and I'll believe them when I see them. But we're talking about that 4th big spot, and Jayden last week 2 weeks ago when we did this, we talked about, well, I think the 4th big, Luka Garza is gone now. There's no other.
Yeah.
The only other bigs are 18 years old now on the team.
Right.
Jayden's the 4th big. Beringer, change your mind at all? I mean, it had to move in the right direction a little bit.
Let's face it.
You said yes.
He was impressive as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, he is light years. The quote from Conley that sticks with me the best is he's already got such a good base and he has no bad habits. Mm-hmm. So we can bring him along exactly the way we want to bring him along. And that is so accurate. That kid knows how to play basketball intuitively, but not practiced wise.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to play the game through reps, but he knows, he hears 2 or 3 times or whatever they did in Slovenia, maybe great coaching there. Who knows?
I feel like yes.
But
he looks like he was well
I
coached.
do feel like you don't have to tell him the right way to play very much before he understands and translates the right way to play. His quest for rebounding is already better than Nas and Rudy. I mean, it is. He goes after balls that those bigs don't go after. Yeah, they don't go after them, and that's a huge.
Sure.
If you have a big contesting rebounds outside of the little area around the rim, that's a force. And I can't think of how many times, again, it's summer league, but he was disruptive just with his energy. And so he had the energy. His timing on his shot blocking is really good. And the way he presents himself as an offensive option, he can't finish nearly as well as his presentation. But there's just, if it's a paint by numbers picture, the picture is fantastic. I mean, the picture is so well drawn that all you have to do now is color it in.
Yeah. Well, it's so your type.
Huh?
That's so your type of big. Like you've always been Bam, like Bam.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
there's big differences between them, but the most attractive piece of Bam Adebayo defensively is the defensive versatility and activity.
Exactly.
That he plays with. And that's the idea with Beringer, is being able to have him guard different positions and have him be able to execute different coverages while being energized and active. The
revelry and teamwork. I mean, the guy loves to play as a cog. He doesn't want, and he played against Missy and Malowak on the, a number 10 pick.
Yeah.
That's his name? Malawach?
Well, it's digging the hole deeper. I think you got it there. Malawach. I think that's right.
Malawach, yeah. I had the K instead of the H. Yeah. Almost had it. But I mean, those are 2 pretty good comps for Summer League. A starter for New Orleans most of the year. That's what you start out with, and then you finish with the number 10 pick of the draft, who is
Sure.
clearly more polished as a shooter, but also played with Duke an entire year. That's big level basketball. I thought he held his own in both.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
And it's just, but in answer to your question, I don't think there's room for him.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's going to terrorize.
Well, and that's because
the
we're
G
both
League. You know,
we're both of the mind of it being a good idea to have Jaden play some of his minutes as the second big out there, or next to one of the bigs. Whereas last season it was almost at all times when they were healthy, two of Reed, Randall, and Gobert were out there together.
That's right.
So to play Beringer at all needs to break up that, which was the way last year. We're talking about maybe Rudy playing a little bit less.
But that's to get other.
Yeah, right. So, I mean.
It's such a great problem. I mean, what we're talking about is Tim Connelly really fucking knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Clark was a stash because of the Achilles. Beringer is a stash because he's so raw. Shannon's a stash because of all that bullshit, which turned out to be like almost a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
He probably should have sued her. It was a terrible court case, but it damaged his status.
Sure.
Connelly pounced on all three of those
and
openings.
Him being 24 years old.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Yeah.
He's
Which is
identifying,
what the Wolves needed.
Yeah. I mean, the Conley thing is identifying overlooked assets. I mean, obviously Jokic is the number one example of that in Denver, but
because he was a big lug.
But I think the more prescient one is Gobert. Trading for Gobert.
Yeah.
He's an overlooked piece who everyone thinks is terrible, and he's like, well, the price is right then. We'll go do this, and then all the young guys you're talking about there, it's watching them actually play and not wearing the associations that they have about their age or size or whatever it may be. And it feels like with Beringer too, that was just something they were ready to jump on, even though he's 18. They're like, whatever, we believe in this.
Right.
I don't think it was a need-based pick. Like,
no,
this fourth big thing we're talking about, I'm not even talking about him playing this season. I'm talking about him being the Luka Garza role, where if one of the bigs is hurt.
I think that's perfect for him.
Yeah. So
I really do. I
that
think
is the fourth
that's
pick.
what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to get mop up, or I want him to get 12 minutes, or I want him in Iowa.
Sure. And only the 12 minutes if one of the three bigs are hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And which is, to me, before Summer League, I would have said not even that. He's 18. Just wait. Red shirt, do those sort of things.
He's it was I literally was laughing sometimes. I mean, the first 5 minutes of the game,
dude, it was
right terrorizing.
It was right in front of us. It's that, the Thomas and Max, so we're like courtside there. It was that hoop. And I look over at Kyle. I'm like, shit, like, what? He had 5 blocks the first 7 minutes. We should say, though, like,
I was laughing. I was at home watching. I was laughing. I mean, because Missy, twice it was Missy. Yeah. And then some guy, after he blocked one, some guy got the rebound and drove on him and tried to make a floater, and he hit that. Yeah, no, it was fun. And
I said to Kyle when we did the pod after that game, because, again, we're there, the dude makes no sound. There's no, like, give me that shit. None of that. Like, he's just silently swatting shots. It was great. I was laughing too.
Yeah. And what to know that your double conference finalists grab somebody age 18 that is like, he is locking in a long-term strategy now. I mean, it's becoming more and more apparent. Randall was the outlier, but at the same time, it was a bow to familiarity and bringing it back. If you're not going to make a big trade and bring somebody in, then you're going to lean into continuity. But that continuity doesn't have to be, there's nothing that says that Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle have to play, have to start 78 games for the next 3 years.
Today's show is brought to you by Your Home Improvement Company. We know there are a chunk of you out there who are like, I have a home improvement project I want to get done this summer. It's mid-July. You haven't got it done yet. Contact Your Home Improvement Company and get your project done by certified local professionals. They still have that buy two, get two free deal on triple pane windows going, but really it can be any home improvement project. There will be zero money down, zero interest, and zero payments on anything you get done. Also, they do have the bathroom renovation deal still going, 30% off deal on remodels for your bathroom. It would be a simple tub to shower conversion or full-on bathroom renovation. Whatever the project is, again, Your Home Improvement Company offers great financing deals that require zero money down, zero interest, and zero payments until 2026. Contact Your Home Improvement Company by calling 866-777-YHIC or by going to yourhomeimprovementco.com. Your Home Improvement Company, where it's your home made better. Last rotation guy, or not rotation guy, roster guy, Leonard Miller.
Yeah.
I'm curious where you were at with him, this being his third summer league, this be his third year in the league, second round pick 3 years ago. I was pretty hard on him after the first game of just being like, it's still so chaotic. Because what stood out to me was the way that Kevin Hansen talked about Leonard Miller after that game reminded me of the way that Finch talked about Josh Minot. And well, Leonard wasn't here and like at this spot at that time, we need Leonard to be, again, that's the game plan discipline stuff. And that, that's a little bit disappointing from a third-year player who's been through the system, played in the G League. He played in the G League at G League Ignite, too. He's been playing.
Right.
This will be his fourth year of pro hoops. And there is just still a lot of the chaos of Miller's game, even though he scored a lot in that game. But I was just like, what does it look like in the NBA? And I struggled with that after the first game. I do feel like it's kind of got honed in a little bit more over games 2 through 4 from him. And I would say I've been blown away by it or anything, but I'm like, okay, that sort of saved it for me, because after that first game and just the chaos of it, knowing what Finch feels about game plan discipline, I'm like, I don't know, man, this might just be a dead hand. But to me, improved over the course of summer league. So I guess holding on to something there.
It's really funny you mentioned Minot, because what he shares with Minot is an ability to be in a place that is a good place sometimes. Like suddenly finding himself. What I always used to say about Minot is he may be chaotic, but he's also disruptive in good ways. And so I didn't like Miller. I don't like Miller. But I want to preface that by saying that he clearly looks better on paper in the box score than he does to the eye test.
Yes.
And I think that there's something to be said for that. I mean, if you look up and he's 22-9 and you go, oh, okay, I thought he played badly. He was 22-9. And that happens fairly regularly with him.
It happened in the G League.
But there's a couple of things about him that I just don't like. And one is there is absolutely no oil or grease in his game at all. He is very, very stiff and very, very vertical. And he's like
got that very
stick.
upright Euro step thing going there. That's
everything about him is not bendable. It is very, very robotic, and it's just who he is. Obviously, he's never not played that way when I've seen him play. The other thing that just drives me crazy is if Jaylen Clark was the absolute example of somebody being within himself and knowing exactly what he can and can't do, Leonard Miller has no clue what he can't do. His handle is awful, and he continually proves it. I mean, you cannot dribble as much as he dribbles and expect to stay on the court in any self-respecting basketball team. He,
The issue is he needs to use that dribble to get to the stuff that he does well to score.
no, he needs his teammates to get him there. I mean, if he needs to
Like under the
dribble to
basket?
get to the point where he is using his footwork in the paint, then he should not play, because that dribble is more, it's dangerous.
Mhm.
It's injurious to your team. He is, I mean, the Wolves dribbling in general as a team, for a team that went undefeated, was ridiculously bad. I mean, very few people could literally keep the ball. There weren't all that many possessions where the possession was no doubt that the Wolves had possession from start to finish. A tremendous amount of possessions were, they might lose it now, and
like
Miller
chasing their own
clearly
dribble.
had that. He also does not stay at home. I think Beringer helped him a phenomenal amount in terms of rim protection defense.
Mhm.
For somebody his size who rebounds as well as he does, he's terrible at rim protection. I think teams can go at him. Again, I think just maybe because of the stiffness. He doesn't have that fluidity in his game to a crafty scorer is going to probably, get the best of him.
Right.
And what I will say that I think he does, I think he retains, he doesn't give up on plays. In other words, if something is happening, he can sometimes snatch a play, snatch goodness out of badness because he's aware of what's about to happen, or on an
Minot-esque.
on an inbounds.
Right.
There is a lot of Minot in his game. I thought Minot had a lot more fluidity and a lot more athleticism. I always like Minot more than Miller, but Miller is larger, so he does have he's big. I'd never regarded Minot as a big, even though his wingspan is probably even better than Miller's, for all I know.
And Minot's Miller's really got those like broad shoulders.
He does.
Yeah.
And
More physical.
he presents as a 4 or 5. He just does.
That's still my stance on him. And I think I'm alone on that. But
that he's a 4 or 5?
That he's a 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and his shot, he's somewhat streaky, but generally a bad shooter, I think. I mean, I know that there are times when he can make 5 threes in a game. I think he probably one of the 4 games he did make 5 threes in a game. I don't know. But
apparently shot 40% in the G last year too.
Okay, well,
but I'm with you too. I don't. I
mean, if another team likes him, I'd get something for him.
Sure. Yeah. It is kind of relevant in this fourth big sort of situation. If Beringer comes down,
I mean, that's what I think. I mean, I think that the fact that Garza was ahead of Miller on my depth chart anyway.
Clearly, yeah, everyone's.
And so I just don't know where he fits.
Yeah.
And even with injuries, I mean, when do you play him? Jaden, Nas, Randall, and Beringer, perhaps. Gobert, Shannon. I mean, so many people would have to go down.
Yeah.
To say, all right, let's, unless it's going to be, hey, Leonard Miller right here, we're getting out rebounded on the weak side or something. I mean, it's a very, very specific, because he can rebound pretty well.
Yeah.
He does have a knack for that. And that is the one thing I think is an NBA skill of his. And it's also the most transferable skill when you scout somebody. If they can rebound, they can usually rebound on almost any level. And he's proven he can rebound wherever he's been.
Yeah. I guess I just say that to mean, like, if he had a different summer league, clearly, maybe this is overly reactive,
right.
But I moved my sliders on Terrence Shannon off of what I saw in summer league. I moved my sliders on Beringer based on what I saw. So
totally.
If I would have seen something,
but I think we
spectacular
did.
from Miller.
What we saw was it almost was like those lie detector tests. Where boom, 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 boom. They're just he's playing the truth on this one, but he's playing a lie on this position. I mean, that needle was bouncing, and you can't have. I would regard his stiffness as literally like Dillingham's size. It's something that's there and it hurts him. And I don't think you can have that and have some of the other problems I think he has and be able to be a functioning rotation player on a conference,
right?
Contender. I just don't think it's there.
Last thing, just any thoughts on the two-way guys? I mean, Jesse Edwards.
I like Bailey.
Yeah, not a two-way guy, but
he wasn't.
No, I mean, well, Zikarsky's on a two-way.
Oh well, Zikarsky. Yeah.
Jesse Edwards are the two guys on two-ways.
Yeah,
right
Jesse
now.
Edwards. I'm still baffled as to why he's on the roster.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's a nice guy. You said he was one of the best chess players on the team.
Rudy did.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Good, great. And I saw. Whenever he got to the free throw line and it said West Virginia below his name, it was really disorienting because I don't regard him as a West Virginia.
Yeah.
I think of Bob Huggins and all those crazy teams, and also just like that whole backward ethos that West Virginia is known for.
I think he transferred maybe from Syracuse.
Yeah, maybe
something like that. I mean, he's old too.
Yeah. And there's just not a great reason.
Well, he must
be a great locker room guy.
He was supposed to be. He's the same height as Rudy. He's big, and so I think the idea behind him was like, oh, there's a good
he's a plug-in.
Yeah, drop defend, but that has never popped in anything.
I think that the reason I like Bailey is because I think he's fairly well-rounded. I think he's probably a worry I have of him is that he's going to be one of those guys that gets like 26 and 5 in the G League, and he's a quad A player, as they say in baseball. I'm not sure he's an NBA player, but of the other guys that were out there,
stood out.
I thought that Newton. I like the fact he was very cold from free for a long time, and then kept shooting and got hot.
Hit a big one. At the
there's
end of
somebody. And then when somebody said, I don't follow the college game, but he played for a national championship team and was a key player, then I thought, okay, well, then, I understand now why this guy has so much self-possession.
Sure.
Does he have the ability to back it up? I didn't see it, but maybe just, wasn't great. Who's the other two? Oh, Zikarsky.
Yeah, Zikarsky. That's the most I'm curious about.
Actually, a little bit more polished than I thought he was, but tuckered out. I mean, if you played him 7 minutes in a row, he was not in shape.
He was playing about 3, and he was getting tuckered.
He wasn't in best basketball shape. And good players who know how to play were destroying him out there. But all that's to be expected. Yeah. I mean, if Beringer is like the unicorn, and in some respects he is. Zikarsky is what you expect. He's an 18, just turned 19. I heard it, when he had his birthday in one of those games. Yeah. And there were times where his height, he knows how to use his height. He's not stupid. He likes to dish the ball when he can. He doesn't have blinders on the court. I think he understands court positioning, but he's not in condition. He's not quick, and he's very, very large, and he's a long shot, and players drafted where he was drafted are not supposed to make it, and I don't think he will.
Yeah. What was interesting, the first thing that's most interesting about him is he's absolutely gigantic.
Yes.
and it really does remind you of a lot of those like 90s centers,
Right.
But what I will say, or this was my thinking when I was watching, there's one game where he was just getting defensive rebounds and throwing hit-ahead passes. And I also know that, though he didn't shoot him in summer league, he's worked on his shot, is going to be a guy who shoots, would take wide open threes.
Right.
So he does that right now.
Yes.
He will in the G League.
Right.
If he ever plays that, be part of that. So it has to be he strikes me as the gigantic 90s center who grew up playing modern basketball. looking to play fast, even though he's
good
not
point.
fast.
Yeah, good point.
You know what I'm
His
saying?
outlets. You're right about his outlets. I
You
forgot
could
about
just see that he played on teams
He likes
where
to
they
play
that way.
He's comfortable in pace,
Right.
which is somebody 7'3" is interesting. Right?
Yeah, it's a huge, because if he was just
But that may be one of the reasons he tuckers out.
true. But like Jesse Edwards isn't doing that.
Right, right. You're right.
Berenger's going to run. Like he's going to, because he's
Beringer,
fast. Yeah.
Another thing about that dude, I mean, he'll block a shot and be down there for a lob.
I know, and he's running.
You know, Rudy Gobert, take note.
Yeah, right. Pull him along with you. Yeah. So it's the drafted as 18 years old, 45th pick in the draft.
Exactly.
And
I mean, you can't teach height is the cliche there,
sure.
But also to Conley's ongoing credit, seems like an incredibly good kid, has a supportive family, wants to play hard, is excited just to be here, isn't going to be an attitude problem, and has a chance to realize a dream, and we'll see how far he goes. But I don't see how it turns into a bad story.
Yeah, and there's no illusions that he's coming in with a role or anything like that.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, he is.
He talked about the G League in his opening press conference.
I kind of thought we may get Zikarsky-like play from Beringer. And with the there's one or two things that look like NBA possibles, but 80% of it, man, it's got a lot of work. Really, really raw. Yeah. And in some ways it was unfair to Zikarsky. But the other teenager out there was so amazing.
Yeah. Not great. Got these 2 7-foot setters. One's really fast and good. The other one's tired.
The other one's exactly what you'd expect of an 18-year-old 7'3" guy.
But I don't know if I'm just trying to point at the glass as half full. But there was some things from him that it's just interesting to draft an 18-year-old in the second round. He's on a 2-way. Right. He's not on some long-term 4-year contract like mine out was or anything. Exactly. Maybe you could turn into that in time, but
the glass is half full. It's just that the shot glass.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of liquid to make it half full.
Anything else? And I think we touched on pretty much all the guys here.
Sure. I think that one of the things I will say, the West is just, Beal to the Clippers. Yeah. That's a nice move by the Clippers, and the Clippers already have a couple other people. And we forget. I forgot immediately because I got eliminated in the first round, which I didn't expect. But the Clippers were a team that I thought were going to give the Thunder all they could handle. Right. It turned out it was the Nuggets. But in the postseason, I thought they were the biggest threat to OKC getting out of the West. By the way they were playing, the way Kawhi was playing, and now they've replaced Westbrook with some really interesting people. And
last time we talked and we did this, it was after Houston and Denver had made their moves. We kind of said, okay, OKC is the top team, Denver and Houston as the next two. And then the Wolves are right there. And
the Clippers are now with the Wolves.
And that's what I was going to say. Is now I feel like that's the tier that the Wolves probably reasonably fall into, is with the Clippers and, let's maybe above them, but and the Warriors, Lakers, stuff like that, probably above them too. But in that sort of tier there, with the possibility of, I'm not saying Houston and Denver are out of reach of the Wolves.
Right.
If everything I was hearing about Ant in the summer he's having, and if that translates to growth in the league, then that's
it. Really, if we're being serious, the things that have been predicted for Ant have now been predicted for him. For this will be the third year they've been predicted for him. It isn't that he's disappointed, but he has not fulfilled the upper end of expectations, because the upper end of expectations is literally a top 3 or 4 superstar. And if that does happen, this team is going to be an incredible amount of fun to watch for the next 5 years, because it is built for now, for 2 years from now. And I would argue way too. I mean, the dynamism of the NBA is so fast changing. You can't guarantee that what OKC is going to be 2 or 4 years from now. But as much as you can do anything in the NBA nowadays, and as a surefire all NBA first team player, means that the Timberwolves are right there.
Yeah, then they deserve. Then they deserve
Then
to be
they
as
are
high
right
as you
there
want. Yeah.
beside Houston as OKC's biggest,
Sure.
and perhaps Denver.
This is, I don't know, maybe a little random, but I remember watching him during the Olympics, and I wasn't there. I'm watching
Right.
on TV, and I remember seeing Ant, and it was the leanest he looked.
I agree.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And I remember the thing I was thinking at the time was, having been around
Might have
Ant,
been the uniforms.
it could have been. It could have been, but
Yeah.
stick with me here. So it was, I always thought, generalizing, Ant had more of a football body, and that's what
Right.
we kind of seen. And
Right.
so this was the first 4 years
Yeah,
of his
right.
career, and not in bad shape or
6'5",
anything.
225.
Yeah,
right.
but just like
Right.
he had like the arms of a football player.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing him in the Olympics, and it just looked like his arms were longer and leaner. And I remember watching that team and being like, he looks like a basketball player now. And like his body had
Right.
evolved. And what that was with the Olympics and all that, it had been months of this
continual
training,
play, right?
of literal like cardio and working on his body, those sort of
Yeah.
things. And he leaned out some. I saw him. I talked to him for a little bit at the A-Rod and Laurie press conference, and even just when he walked in, and he's wearing like a sleeveless shirt or whatever. I'm doing the weird like looking at guys' bodies thing,
Right.
but it stood out to me again, and I was like, this is the most in person for me I had seen Ant look lean.
Yeah.
That type
And
of
that's a
lean.
good sign. I agree.
And it's the same thing, talking to some people of how hard he's hit the beginning of the summer. And of course they're going to tell me that, all those sort of things.
Right.
And normally I go, cool.
Right,
He ran the stairs. All right.
Right.
But then it's different for me when I see it, I'm seeing him in person, and it's weird to say that like sometimes the players are in better shape in the off season than they are in the season.
Right.
Because in the season, you're just maintaining.
Right.
You can do like a body transformation,
Right.
more so in the off season. And
Well,
yeah,
you could
that
turn into
stood out to
Quentin
me.
Richardson.
Yeah, sure, right. It could go either way.
Right.
But if we're talking about the Wolves, and if you're like Dane and Britt, man, you have the Wolves maybe not even as a home court playoff team.
Right.
They went to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Fair. What you'd say that Anthony Edwards is going to be better, and I think Anthony Edwards probably will be better. And the reason he will be better is by being in better shape and taking another step in understanding the game.
And also because he was not able to impose his will in the postseason the way he has previously. Now, some of that is the way he was defended, obviously, but he was also a focus of a team's defense in previous. I do believe that he, by his standards, had a mediocre postseason, and I think he knows it. I don't blame him. I didn't blame him at the time. I defended the fact that he got off the ball when he needed to get off the ball. But I do think that it is a combination of your teammates need to be better, your coaching needs to be more focused on what it is, but you yourself need to have the knowledge of what you can do. If they put 2 on you and you have to get off it, what can you do to get it back? Or what can you do to punish that double, maybe go to the line a little bit more or whatever? The point being, the really good ones figure it out better than he figured it out. And some of that is on the coaches, some of that is on the personnel on the team. And neither one of those things are changing. So,
but what's more encouraging than if this is what has in fact happened?
Yeah,
that he felt that way that you're describing.
I think he
did,
and
then he attacked the summer the way that I'm describing.
That's what I'm getting towards. Is I do think that you can't argue with the numbers. The numbers are down compared to what they were, and playoff Ant was a thing. and it was less of a thing this year, regardless of whether the circumstances explained it or didn't fully explain it. The bottom line is Ant did not impose his will as much as he has in previous years. And I think everything we know about him, he knows that.
Mm-hmm. And is
And that's
applying
a good
himself.
thing.
Yeah. If you take that frustration and you apply it correctly, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That frustration can go a lot of different directions.
Exactly.
We've seen that other ways.
Exactly.
But we have nothing to go off of right
no,
now.
I think that they're betting on continuity.
Mhm.
And Conley said it again in his halftime interview when they talked about why they got Gobert and all. Get as many deep, meaningful postseason reps for a guy at that age as possible. He expects to go to the playoffs now and expects to get deep. And having a player of his character and his ability set that high a bar for himself is another example of Tim Connelly knowing what the fuck he's doing.
I think that's a good place to leave it. He's Britt Robson. Follow him on Twitter at Britt Robson and on Blue Sky. You writing anything anytime soon?
I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a summer league something.
Yeah, I may do a summer league recap, although you don't have to read it everything I'm going to write is what I just said in this, because I haven't done anything, it's my quote unquote time off in terms of sports. So, but probably not is a easy answer. I'll let people know if I got something out there.
It's we are hitting the maybe a couple more summer league games here, but then we're hitting the lull. But I'm glad to talk to you about these things, but also, we talked about this before when you do the instant reaction podcast, right afterwards, you're like, exactly. I don't even know what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was good for me to kind of take let what happened at Summer League download a little bit, watch 2 more games.
Exactly.
And fortunately, I think watching those 2 more games just made me a little bit more encouraged about Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Cemented what I was feeling about Shannon. The Beringer
Well, the
stuff.
first 7 minutes of Summer League was enough. I'll tell you right now, if everything had sucked from then on,
it'd be like
Beringer, you got a 18th, 17th pick in the draft.
Right.
Who looks like, if you don't screw it up, is going to be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is probably the number one thing, or the biggest delta leap.
If you're looking for, they bet on a long-term bet.
Yeah.
Which is a zag, because you've made the conference finals. They didn't go trade for Kevin Durant. They went and drafted Joan Beringer. And I feel really good about that.
And he would have been out in a KD trade.
Yeah.
That 17th pick would have been gone, probably along with, or Wendy reported today that the offer was Gobert, DiVincenzo, Shannon, and 17, or that's what Houston was asking for. So it's interesting in this context now of having got to watch some of those guys.
Well, and also to think about, now you're saying Beringer, Shannon.
Yeah, right.
And then the other 2 guys.
Exactly.
And those were the afterthoughts. We thought, okay, Dante and Randall, and then what? Well, 2 guys that are going to be one's going to be, we think, pretty important next year, and another we think is going to be pretty important in 3 years.
And we were both on the same thing of like, okay, if you want to make the KD trade, let's match the salaries with like Randall and DiVincenzo, or Gobert and DiVincenzo. Doesn't make sense to start putting in assets like Dillingham or Shannon or something. It was our personal opinions on it, and they didn't do that. And for whatever
Kevin Durant's in a better place.
Yeah.
Houston is a much better team with him on it. The Wolves, I would argue, wouldn't be that much of a better team with him on it, especially if you take away what they were going to need to do to take it away. So I think everything worked out the way it should.
And I got like 4 Kevin Durant pods out of it. So he's Britt Robson. Again, follow him on Twitter at Britt Robson, writes over at MimPost. And I don't know, we'll be back to do something sometime this summer, but this is the time of year where I don't abide by a strict schedule. So we'll be mixing in some episodes here and there throughout the next couple weeks, but more sporadically. Appreciate you listening to 90 minutes on the Wolves. It's unbelievable that this was fun. Again, he's Britt, and until whenever we record next, he's Britt. I'm Dane. Peace out.
How I'm feeling, man, I hope it never stop, yeah. Grinning hard so you can find me in the crowd, yeah, yeah. Don't let standards ever bring you down, yeah.